This is an election of disappointment, but also of triumph. And while the ANC is licking their wounds, I'm sitting here with the spokesperson, national spokesperson of the IFP, Mr. Mkhuleko Hlengwa. And I know many people have been talking about Action SA and how it has fed the Gauteng. But the story that is little told is how the IFP is doing in KwaZulu-Natal. Mr. Hlengwa, I don't want to take away this moment from you. I want you to tell us yourself how many municipalities the IFP held since 2016, and how many more municipalities have you gained in this election? And secondly, what do you attribute that to?
Well, let me start off just by thanking the voters. We are humbled by this trust and responsibility placed on us, and we don't take it for granted or take it lightly, because we recognize the gravity of the situation. South Africans want change. They want an improvement in their sustainable livelihoods and in their communities. In 2016, we won 13 municipalities, and we had losing 3 of those municipalities. We are happy to report that we went back to the drawing board and we have dealt with the issues. As things stand now, we have regained all those municipalities of 2016, yes, and we are now adding to that. I'm speaking here about King Kwijayo district, which is back in the bag. We're speaking about municipalities like Emadlangeni, Danhauser. We're speaking about growth, which by all projection may land Umhlathuze in a coalition because of the work that we've done. 10 wards have been bagged in Umhlathuze. But the growth is also moving south of the province. 6 wards in Newzroom taken from the ANC, 1 in Reinkonyeni municipality. But also in the city of Johannesburg, 2 wards taken from the ANC and 1 ward in Egruleni. So all in all, the IFP comes out of this election with the added burden of responsibility for the purposes of governance, and we are equal to the task in that regard. So, it's not a victory we take with glee or, because the situation is that dire for those communities. They want an improvement in their lives, and so this is not a moment of celebration per se, but a moment of embracing the responsibility which we have to actually carry moving forward. So all in all, we are happy at the trajectory of the results. We are watching Newcastle very, very closely, and we're looking at eThekwini very closely as well. If you look at the projections of some of the polling companies and so on, they are placing that metro on a coalition as well. But where we already won, Zululand is back in the bag. Uthugela was also one of the districts where we've done, because we're not governing anything in Uthugela, and by all accounts, it's a clean sweep for the IFP as well.
Now, it's not to ask you as to how the ANC lost in those areas, but what I will ask you is this. In 2009, in successive elections, the IFP, including its founder, has actually been on the record to say that the Jacob Zuma factor was a factor in KwaZulu-Natal in terms of the decline of the IFP. Do you think, given the fact that we've just had that unrest in KwaZulu-Natal and some of the former president's supporters being unhappy with how they feel he has been treated by the ANC, do you think that played a role in this election, in the outcome?
No, I don't think it played a factor. Safe to say, we reject the whole notion of the tribal politics which seeks to rear its ugly head, because it's divisive. We rejected it in 2009 when the so-called 100% Zulu boy t-shirts came out, because we knew that it was polarizing the country. The matter of the looting in July was criminality, which must actually be dealt with. The IFP here must take credit. We worked hard, and we are not shy about that. We worked really, really hard in these elections, in this campaign. We put shoulder to the wheel. We ensured that the structures, particularly the branches and the constituencies, were grounded and rooted in the people. And that is why when people are lamenting the issue of the low voter turnout, you've got a surge in the IFP, because when the voter registration came out that 1 million people who were supposed to register did not, it raised the red flag. It was an indication to us that we had to redouble our efforts. These elections were not about Mr. Zuma, with all due respect. These elections are about the bread and butter issues of ordinary South Africans who have been hit hardest, one, by the corruption that is taking place, but also at the same time, the province of KwaZulu-Natal has been descending into crisis and chaos since the IFP came out of power in 2004. And so the people are going back to the basics to say, we know the people that had delivered, and they've been spreading that message. And so this is our track record.
And the decision, I mean, the IFP took a decision to use the face of its founder and president emeritus, and I was one of the people who actually thought that it was not a good strategy. And it seems like it has worked in terms of linking you to, one, your roots, but also entrenching the IFP or reintroducing the IFP to some of the people who would have supported you traditionally. Do you believe, though, that given the fact that you've got more areas or more voters who are entrusting the IFP with their vote, that perhaps it may be a burden going forward, as in where you are seen to be over-relying on Umntwana Kapindange?
No, you see, we had wanted to celebrate Umntwana in 2020 after he had stepped down as the president of the IFP in the 2019 conference, to pay homage to him for the work that he had done, and we were interrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown. This was actually a suggestion of the president, Uba Klabis. In 2021, we decided that no, will be COVID, we do not know how long it will be with us. Let us continue with our plans and celebrate this great man and celebrate our founding president. And so the use of his image was in that context, that we were dedicating also these elections to him. It's the first elections with Prince Buthelezi not as party leader. We have to give him the assurance that the party will be on a trajectory of growth. Secondly, the IFP is of the view that there is no wrong in us celebrating Prince Buthelezi and wearing him. Other parties are wearing their leaders as well, present and past, and so there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And so, but more than that, Prince Buthelezi is also the president emeritus of the party. The conference in 2019 entrusted him with certain responsibilities to manage a smooth transition. And so this campaign comes at that time where Ubab Hlabisa was campaigning with his mentor and with his predecessor, and we fundamentally believe that the campaign worked well. But the one thing that it also entrenched was the fact that it ensured continuity in the party. It also gave an assurance to the traditional voters of the IFP that we have not moved away from the founding values of the torchbearer, which is Prince Mangosuthu.
Part of the use of his image was to honor him for the role that he played in founding the party. Does that then mean that come 2024 we will not see his face as the face of the IFP's campaign?
Well, I can't preempt what the National Executive Committee or National Council will decide at that time. We're speaking about this election, and we were paying tribute to Prince Buthelezi in this election, and I think the tribute is actually quite a good one. It's one where we've doubled the number of municipalities we will be governing, and it's a present that we are saying to him, Shenge, rest assured, the party that you founded will continue on a trajectory, and we thank you for your service. But also at the same time, if we want to use his image in 2024, then we will do so. If the party decides otherwise, it will do so. The issue is that Prince Buthelezi will always be the founder of the IFP, and so and there's nothing wrong with that.
I want to go back to some of the municipalities that you've won. I'm sure it must be quite pleasing to have regained your majority in Gandla, including winning back Ward 14, which is where I understand the former president resides.
Let me make this categorically clear. The IFP campaign is not about Mr. Zuma. And we're not going to give life and credence to an issue which is a non-electoral matter. Mr. Zuma's matters are legal matters, and he must deal with them legally. We are not campaigning about Mr. Zuma. We are campaigning to improve the lives of the people. The people need change, and we are duty-bound as the duly elected political party in the respective municipalities to deliver that change, to ensure functionality, effectiveness and efficiency, to ensure that we create jobs for the majority of young people, to create relations with institutions of state and around the world, to bring investment into those areas. Now, to reduce this election to Mr. Zuma is in itself undermining the desperate realities of our people. The services will be providing to Nkandla. If Mr. Zuma needs them, he will gladly access them as well, because we will not be governing to give services to IFP people, but to every citizen of the respective areas where we govern. And so his challenges in that respect, our challenges. If he doesn't have water, we will treat him and ensure that we treat him like everybody else. But these elections are not about him, and we certainly are not campaigning about him. He's had his time, and now is the time of the people.
Mkhuleko Hlengwa, the national spokesperson of the IFP, thank you very much for your time.